Well, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chamber Podcast. After a little bit of a hiatus, we are back, and joining me in studio is Jim Gilligan. He is the owner of Snedicor's Cleaning, Howell, Michigan, and Jade Orlich. He is the sales manager at Brighton Ford.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah,
thanks.
So, Jim, we've done 58 podcasts
Something
here at this
like
point.
that.
We go
Yeah,
way back.
what the heck?
Jade, this is your first time.
One of many, I'm sure.
Right, we'll keep it going. We'll see how you do. Don't
Okay.
just invite yourself back.
I'm going to be an
how it
expert
goes.
on assorted topics.
Yeah. Well, very good. So what brought this podcast about is both of you are chamber members. The greater area Brighton Chamber of Commerce, which encompasses like 48 chambers now, which is pretty awesome. And Jim has done a lot of business with Brighton Ford, building out his EV fleet for the cleaning company.
Yes.
So the first question I'm going to go to you, Jim, is what made you make the jump to go to full electric? And then second, why did you go with Brighton Ford?
The full electric makes real good sense for our business model as a delivery only dry cleaning and laundry company, because we make many stops in dense areas. And it's perfect for the EV. We never use more than 50% of the range. And it took the place of a ICE or internal combustion engine or gas-powered van. And we're saving a ton of money on fuel and repairs going with the EV.
Okay.
Yep. And Brighton Ford, I mean, I've done business with Brighton Ford forever, and they're great. And
Appreciate it.
Yep. Scott, my sales guy there, Scott always takes good care of me. And of course, John Cuter and, all this. Big part of it is they're such community members, as we try to be also. So always want to support companies that are community supportive, like Brighton Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I had a fun behind the scenes, like we had shot a video for, actually for this very project, you moving to an electric fleet, shot it on behalf of Brighton Ford. We filmed at your facility. And it was a lot of fun seeing the behind the scenes of, all the inner workings of the shop, and then also seeing just how excited your associates were about moving to the electric. When did you decide to make that move, and when was it fully turned over?
Make the move to electric. Really, I was just waiting for the transit, e-transit to come out. And I think we got in on the second year of the e-transit. Little known fact, I actually test drove an electric van in the early 1980s.
Really?
Yep. And this was a joint venture between Detroit Edison and another car company. It was a Chevy Astro.
Really?
And
plug your ears, Jade.
It was an Astro van, which was a minivan. And the whole back floor was covered with lead acid batteries, just your regular car batteries. And
it's all daisy chained together.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
I drove that around. It was actually pretty cool. But
it's no fire hazard.
never heard from them again. And but before that, so this is going way back. My grandfather worked for Detroit Edison as a repair tech in Detroit, and in the 30s, he drove an electric Detroit Edison van. They had it because they're so good for in the city. So it makes sense. It's kind of in my blood, and I've got a lot of family that was in the auto industry also. And seeing that the e-transit was getting close and then it was ready, it was a no-brainer.
What's making people, especially business owners, make the switch to electric?
We need more customers like him, quite honestly. I mean, there is a fairly low rate of adoption among even businesses that would have the most practical use for e-transit and its limitations and capabilities. Like he described his business like local delivery, kind of like locally within the city, doesn't typically go from major city to city transits kind of thing. So we'd like to see more of it, and we'd like to empower more people to do it. We have the vehicles, we have the information, and we need entrepreneurs and other business leaders who can approach alternative fuel vehicles with an open mind, who can recognize that lower operational costs and ultimately making an improvement better for the environment. And as you mentioned previously, your bottom line is just the more natural technologically. That's the next step that just needs to be made. So I would like just an open mind, and I think that they very naturally could find their way into businesses. But I mean, people need to take a more progressive approach to what does my business need to do and what new solutions are available to do it. Because I mean, as is with businesses, always if you just rely on kind of the old way of doing things, and you're just going to get left behind. So eventually there's going to be companies like Jim's whose operational costs eventually result in savings that they're passing along to customers. And so customers who insist on not making those eventually necessary changes will just be left behind. So, I mean, it's a conversation that needs to be had more frequently is my answer to your question.
What do you find is the biggest objection to people not adopting?
Right now, there's a really strong anti-EV narrative, and very speculative from what, but a lot of customers aren't even willing to broach the topic. And so at a point there, it becomes just such a big topic. Like we have to look at charging infrastructure. We have to look at how it could be practically integrated within our business, how this might affect our customers, and what benefit is it really going to have on our bottom line. So just like when we come to a customer with a lease proposition, it's usually like, this is what we're offering and this is what it's going to do to your bottom line. This is the payment. So similarly, we need to, I guess, acutely educate, potential business opportunities, their customers rather, and how they might use the vans to their advantage and saving money and obviously saving their customer money.
Excellent. Now, Ford has made a massive effort on the electric vehicle front. They've come out with a ton of different models, a ton of different shapes and sizes of vehicles. We were talking about the hybrid Ford Maverick, which obviously is not a full EV, but what do you see, Jim, for your business as being kind of the growth trajectory of the adoption of EV? Is something you're going to continue to use? Is you going to use it fractionally, or is it just, Snedicor is now 100% EV?
Well, I doubt we'll be 100% EV in the foreseeable future, simply because we do have those rangier routes, because now that we're a delivery-only company, we're going to towns where the customers used to come to us. The EVs work really well. Like the current EV, its typical route does about 20 stops per hour and about half mile between each stop, and it's perfect for the EV. It loses very little energy. The ranges are going to come up, and the price point's going to come down. And the key to my business is, the saying says, when the wheels are rolling, you're not making any money. So in other words, you want to densify. You want to get into a neighborhood, get that first customer, and then you want to get the 4 customers right around that customer. And eventually, as we continue to densify Livingston County, we'll keep adding EVs.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And on that side, Jade, from an educational perspective, what is Brighton Ford doing on the side of making sure that business owners are well aware of the benefits of moving to EV, and the expertise and knowledge that you guys have, and how much work and background work that you put into this?
Yeah. So initially identifying business opportunities where we think electric vehicles might be thoughtful choices is a very challenging proposition, which is why we're very thankful for certain business leaders in the community like you who can help us basically kind of spread the word and kind of show people. And I think empirically, that's seeing people like him be successful with our product is really the best way that we can connect with the decision makers that you're kind of referring to. But I mean, if there were a room of van buyers who are local, who are purchasing the next 90 days, I'd love to know where that room is. But that's part of the challenge, is who is buying it and when. And so effectively what we do is we have kind of a separate process and kind of a separate now department, and even Ford's, this is a whole other conversation, but digital retailing with Ford, beginning with EVs, is going to be basically in the hand of the customer, beginning with a QR code on the window sticker. And that is really taking off, and that's going to begin with the EV side of Ford's business. And so as they're modernizing, as we're connecting with new people, and I think just people using them, talking about them, I think that's going to get them more into the purview of the decision makers and the people who are ultimately deciding, what fleet solutions and what transportation solutions are best for a business. So really, we just need more gyms.
More voice.
Yeah, it's quite honestly. I mean, I wish there was a longer list that I had of local businesses that are either trying or are interested in this technology. And as a partner, we have mobile delivery. We can be the partner. We have I don't know that there's more level 3 charge stations than at my dealership right now that are live. We have level 3, like superchargers. They're not called superchargers because that's Tesla's thing, but they're level 3 DC chargers. So those are live. And so we have the information, we have the technology, we have the charging infrastructure, we have recommendations to electric installers, and we have stories like Jim's. And, so we're happy to have the conversation, but we'd like to have it more often.
That's cool. One thing that's unique about this particular technology vertical is it's very early stage. And I know a lot of people have like wonder, well, what, how do you recycle an electric car? What happens at the end of life of an electric vehicle? And like what is the impact going to be for electric vehicles over the next 50 years? And it'll be interesting to see how those things play out as there's more adoption. Automakers are going to be investing more into hybrid as well as EV. It'll be interesting to see. It's been interesting to see the competition from obviously Tesla and then moving to the big three and then looking at, what even we were talking about Toyota, Honda, what they're looking at doing. And it's interesting to see from a business perspective how that race is going to shake out.
Right on. And to Jade's point about points that might sell businesses is, for me, the less maintenance is huge. Mm-hmm. There's three factors that I really took into account. One is purchasing gas every day, which we're not doing anymore. And I have never seen any kind of an increase in my electric bill. I mean, I can go back 12 months. It's crazy.
It's like not noticeable.
It's negligible. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because we charge on off hours or whatever. But if you think about, you're also paying a driver to go to a gas station, fill up,
incrementally,
drive back. It's not much, 15 minutes a day or something, but that adds up. Mm-hmm. Next one is oil changes. Now, oil change, you're looking at probably at least an hour. You're paying a driver to drive there, sit there, drive back, and the cost of the oil change, that's gone. We don't have crankcase oil. This is the big one for me, and this is what slows us down, is brake jobs, having to change brakes. And we're in a stop-and-go business.
A lot of brake,
The EVs have regenerative braking, and therefore I could see not having to replace brakes on a van. Mm-hmm. Typically, we'll do a brake job on each van every year. It's just kind of, it's part of the cost of doing business. EV, so far, it's been a year and a half now, and we haven't even come close to having to do a brake job. So not only are you paying for the brake job, but this time you might be without that van for at least a day, maybe 2 days sometimes. Mm-hmm. And like our business, we can't afford to have an extra van on hand just waiting to replace one. So we're looking at renting a van, outfitting it with a rack.
So less downtime.
Yeah.
And inherently with like EVs versus internal combustion vehicles, you have less like downtime as far as like runtime operation, and just there's fewer moving parts. And so as far as days on the road, it's tough to say against EVs versus just gas cars. Yep. Additionally, like kinetic energy, you mentioned regenerative braking, and that whole concept is really predominant in EVs, and no matter what electric car you're looking at. So to provide a really simplistic explanation to anybody who might not understand, when you're moving along and your brake pads squeeze your rotors, obviously it turns that kinetic energy into heat, and it dissipates and it just goes into the environment. Much like an exercise bike, if you increase the resistance, obviously it makes it harder to pedal. So your car is in effect increasing the resistance when you press the brake pedal, and it recharges the battery. So by recapturing that, it's not simply dissipating the energy into heat and dissipating it. Now it's recapturing it and reusing it. And that's a sizable percentage of battery regeneration basically on electric vehicles. But I wanted to add that.
Well, one of the other cool things is on the EV Transit, we can do one pedal driving because when you let off the gas, it slows down much faster than a regular van that is made to coast. So that van
golf
can
cart.
get better gas mileage, where this, you let off the gas, it slows down considerably. You tap that brake, just tap it, and it slows down much, much more. So I can come to a complete stop at a stop sign with either not touching the brake pedal or maybe one tap if it's a little higher speed thing. And it's all going back into the battery.
And it illustrates, there's different illustrations to show you how much you're regenerating and how much range that's adding. And there's some brake coaching. And so I don't particularly, I'm a more aggressive driver, but that being said, with brake coaching and stuff, it can help drivers accelerate and decelerate in such a way that's more fuel efficient. But
well, I was going to say, I've been not stopping at stop signs and gas vehicles for years.
That's the real hack.
Yeah. I need an EV to do that. I've been doing it for years now. So, gentlemen, as we come to a close, I want to give you guys each 30 seconds to kind of let the listening audience know what you have going on at the business, how they can get a hold of you. I think that'd be good. We'll start with you, Jade.
So Brighton Ford, 1-800-NEW-FORD is Brighton Ford's big new initiative. We're starting to do digital-only online retailing. So we recognize that many customers these days aren't walking into the dealership and doing that whole car buying process, and we're making it as good as it can be. But ultimately, like I'd mentioned with the QR codes and going fully digital, 1-800-NEW-FORD is basically our big leap into matching that energy, starting the process, doing the process, and then ending the process basically from a customer's house. But it's an independent 1-800-NEW-FORD kind of thing, but it's underwritten by Brighton Ford. So that is our big initiative, and we want to be we're an EV elite dealer, and we have 3 DC superchargers live as of 2 days ago. So I mentioned that. But absolutely anything Brighton Ford, you can contact me personally. I'm Jade. I'm the manager. I'm always happy to help, and I always love to talk about EVs.
Elite, hear that? What a flex.
And you forgot, get on board with Brighton Ford. Come on.
Yeah. So interesting. I won't 10 seconds. We actually changed our plate frame from Get On Board, and that was removed. We changed to Community Strong and 1-800-NEW-FORD. So in the spirit of making full circle to what the reason we're here, the community. So truly, we are trying to make more of a nod to the community and less of a come on down, because that's not who we are.
Right on. All right, Snedicor's Cleaners, serving Livingston County for 110 years now. We're now serving Southeast Michigan with 100% free pickup and delivery. All the cleaning's done with non-toxic cleaning solutions like Green Earth Cleaning and our Harmony Wet Cleaning solution. You can reach us at snedicors.com or it's clean.com, because Snedicors is hard to spell, or give us a call, 517-546-1020.
It's clean.com. You got that domain?
Oh, that's what I was about to ask.
I got that in the 90s. I had to pay some Russian
dude. I bet you did. How'd you get that?
I also had 877 It's Clean.
Did you?
And when
we got 800 New Ford, and
when people stopped using toll-free numbers because of cell phones, I let it go, and I made the mistake of calling that number like 10 years ago, and it wasn't good.
Oh, no! The ship sailed. Oh, no.
It's clean.com is still out there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they started the call asking for his credit card.
Is that Snedicor?
Wow, it's clean.com. That's amazing. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Now you'd have to do like a .co or a .net or
.biz.
Yeah, .biz.
It's clean. .now. The big thing is like the suffixes after the it's clean.now. Oh my gosh, why don't you do that, Jim?
.me.
He's got to get down to the place and buy that domain.
I will say it's terrible for SEO, so just be mindful of that. Don't set it as your primary. Forward that domain. There's your marketing tip of the week.
Right on.
All right, very good. Thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
Guys. Awesome as always.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate you watching. We'll catch you next week with another one. Take care.